Thank you so much for joining us for Off Prompt, Chicago's first conversations with artists. My guest tonight really needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyway. She was on the New City Stage 2018 Players 50. She has many awards, including the Time Out Chicago Theater Award, the Black Theater Alliance Award for acting. She won the Hawk Chicago Theater Award, and she's had multiple Jeff nominations for The Wiz and Dessa Rose and Smokey Joe's Cafe. She's the co-founder of Chai Tack and an artistic associate with Firebrand Theater Company. She's represented by Stewart Talent. Folks, please welcome Sydney Charles.
That's weird hearing all that. Okay.
Yeah, it is weird to say it too. We're friends outside of this, so it's like, here's a formal introduction to my friend Sydney Charles. Sydney, where were you born?
I was born on the south side of Chicago. South side represents stand up. Pill Hill neighborhood, so southeast side of Chicago. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's it. Nothing fancy.
Nothing fancy.
South side girl.
And you lived there for most of your childhood?
Most of my childhood, yeah. I was went to school on the south side. I went to grammar school at McDade Classical, which is in Chatham, where Chance is from. Shout out to Chance. You see this? Hit me up. And then I went to high school in Hyde Park, which is also on the south side. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Sydney Charles is not the name you were born with.
No, I picked that one myself. What had happened was I was working at a CPS school, and I was starting to dabble in the idea of acting, and was singing in a band at the time. That's a different story for another day. But my students were starting to look me up on Facebook, and I wanted to keep that life separate from my professional life. And so I said, I need a different name. So I picked Sydney because that was the name of my favorite doll when I was growing up. And Charles is the first name of almost every male in my family on my mother's side. So I still wanted to have connection to my family so that I knew, so I would never forget where I was from. Not knowing that it would stick, because I didn't think it would stick, and it stuck. So now I can't go back, but whatever.
Does anyone call you by your given name at all anymore?
My mother and father, sometimes. They've got on the Sydney train, so that's cool. My brothers, but you had to know me for at least 15 years to call me, or you have at least had to loan me a large amount of money to call me by my government name, because then you have all license to do so because I owe you. So yeah,
sure. Do you want to share it with us?
It's on Facebook. So
all right, so y'all can look it up.
Do some black work, y'all. It's cool. But no shame. They both names mean a great deal to me, so it's all good.
What was your father's profession?
Oh man, my biological father is a pastor by trade, so that was fun.
Okay.
Growing up, and my stepdad, who is my dad as well, is just he drove a coach bus for a number of years, and now he just drinks Pepsi and sits down a lot and watches old reruns of MASH. So
sure,
yeah, it's a good time.
It's a good profession. Watching
MASH. Yeah,
I
mean, when I hear the theme song, I want to fall asleep, but I think that's just like conditioning. So
Pavlovian response to MASH.
Exactly. So yeah.
And what about your mother?
My mother, is a nerd. She graduated from high school, did not go to college, but maneuvered her way up through the corporate ladder to become a systems analyst without a college education, just because she worked hard. So I guess that's who I got it from.
Oh, yeah.
And right now she is the vice president of operations at Pacific Garden Mission. So she works nonprofit to help those without homes find homes and work. So yeah, she's great.
She sounds incredible.
She's all right.
You have siblings?
I have, oh Lord. I'm my mother's only, but I have 7 siblings from my biological father.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got me beat.
Barely, just by one.
But still, yeah. Are you close to them?
Closer to some than others, but we all have a bond because that's what my Nana, his mother, my father's mother wanted. And so we make sure that we all stay in touch and keep tight and, remember that we're family.
Are they all in Chicago or are they moved around?
They moved around. One's in LA with his wife, who used to act here, as a matter of fact. And then the rest are in Chicago. Yeah, but mostly everyone's in Chicago. My brother just decided to get married or whatever and have a family and leave us. But yeah, so everybody's here.
Mm-hmm. What was your religious or spiritual upbringing growing up?
Man, I think I would have liked to find out about other religions, but I think I didn't have a choice because of the fact that my father was a preacher, pastor. My mother taught Sunday school. My grandmother was deep in the church. My grandfather was a deacon. So yeah, Baptist till the world blows up.
Is that something you're anticipating anytime soon?
Yeah, that's just my new mixtape coming out on Spotify. Party, if you hear me, girl, give me 16 bars. Yeah, just a very Christian upbringing, which was fine. I feel like there's something I want to say, but I'm not going to do it because, hey, mommy. But yeah, very religious, very, not super strict, but very structured household. So that meant church, 80 times a week, Sunday school, choir rehearsal, usher meeting, welcome committee meeting, even though I wasn't at any of those except maybe the choir, but I had to go to every meeting because my mother was at every meeting. So that meant I spent at least 5 days out of the week at church.
Wow.
Which meant I did my homework at church, which means, yeah, so good times. It was great.
Does that still resonate with you? You thank God in a lot of your bios.
It does. It does. While I'm not going to church 5 times a week anymore because I don't want to and I don't have to.
But you're a grown adult.
I'm grown up now. No, but it still is. I still know where I came from. I still have a very strong belief and faith system in God and a higher power. And I'm glad that they did instill that from me, and in me rather. So when things are hard or difficult, that I have that to fall back on, and it pushes me forward and keeps me grounded and keeps me here. Because sometimes, you want to give up, but then it's but God, and you're like, oh yeah. So they gave me that. And I think without that, I wouldn't be corny, but I wouldn't be alive. So
right, yeah. What was it like growing up in your family? What was say a Christmas like?
Man, Christmas was the thing. That was it. It was always a big to do. We would go to, I forgot the name of the store because it's not there anymore. Shout out to gentrification. We would go to this store and it was this huge. It looked like someone's enormous basement because it had everything you could ever want in that store and everything you didn't need in it at the same time. But in the back, it was like Christmas threw up all over the place. And there was trees and lights and wreaths and everything. We would go in there and buy everything you wanted for the house. And then we would put the lights on we were that house that took time to hang the lights and have a spectacular show because it was a big competition on our block in Pill Hill because it was slightly bougie. So it was who had the best house with the best lights. And
was it you? Were you always the house with the best lights?
Yes. And a huge, big, stupid tree that had 3 inches from the ceiling and a bunch of lights, garland and presents galore and Christmas carols. It's always been a thing, and a huge dinner with all the family coming in from Mississippi and Arkansas, and it was always just a huge affair. And they always made me take down the lights, which was my least favorite part about Christmas.
The most sad part of Christmas, for sure.
Yeah, making me do it was the sad part, not the lights. But it's fine.
You went to Kenwood Academy in Hyde Park
Broncos.
for high school. Yeah,
I went there from 7th to 12th grade. So I was in this nerd program that you have to test into. Shut up. You have to test into in Chicago, which is a lot of schools now, but you tested into it in 6th grade. My grammar school only went up to 6th grade. So you had to either go to a regular grammar school for the last 2 years and then go to high school, or you could be a super nerd and try to get into one of these high schools that went from 7th to 12th grade. And that's what I did because I didn't want to be normal. So I went to Kenwood from 7th to 12th grade. And started cutting class around 10th grade because I put in my 4 years.
Well.
That was that.
Did you do theater when you were in high school?
Hell no. Can I say hell no on this?
Yes, you are allowed to say that. Yes.
Hell no, I didn't do theater. I thought those kids were lame. I was like, drama. Ugh, whatever. I did choir. I did concert choir, which in hindsight is just as lame as the theater kids. But
Well.
it's fine. Yeah, I did concert choir and I ran track. So, but no theater.
No theater.
Hated it. I liked reading.
Did you
works.
try it, or did you just know that you hated it?
No, in 8th grade we had to do Midsummer Night's Dream, and I was like, I know they're gonna make me a fairy, and behold, whatever. But it was just, it wasn't my thing. I loved reading the works. I just thought everything behind that was corny. I was like, that's stupid. Can we just go sing about it? Whatever. So yeah, never. No. Even the church programs that we had to do for Easter, I hated doing anything.
Well, there's a switch somewhere in there.
Yeah. Gin. I think Gin. Gin did it. Seagram's Extra Dry Gin. Changed my life.
Changed your life. Made you an artist.
Made me an artist.
You started university at University of Missouri.
I did. I got almost a full scholarship. They gave me money because my ACT score was relatively high. And they made all I had to do was pay out-of-state tuition fees. So I went there freshman year and realized that Missouri was mad racist. And I didn't want to stay there. So I left.
It's a good reason to leave.
Yeah, Confederate flags, not my jam.
No.
I mean, shout out to whoever likes those, but not for this little black girl. So I left.
Yeah. And then you went to Northern Illinois University.
That's where I finished. Shout out to the Huskies and the football team wearing one of those bowls. Ow. Yeah, I graduated from Northern Illinois and with a degree in corporate communications and political science because I wanted to go to law school.
And you still didn't do
rich.
theater?
No. I didn't even know. I think I went in theater building one time to see a friend of mine who was in something. And I don't even remember what show it was because I really wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
That makes me, I feel bad. Sorry, girl. But yeah.
Did you go straight from your first bachelor into your second bachelor?
Pretty much.
And so that was, you started at Vandercook and then you moved to Chicago State University?
Flip it.
Okay.
I went to Chicago State University for my second bachelor's after being bored and my first job out of college.
Which was what?
I worked for the Red Eye.
Oh. I was like writing or publicity? Marketing. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, boo to this. So, music has always been a huge part of my life. So at the time, I wanted to figure out what was going to make me happy. And I was like, well, music always makes me happy. So I decided to stay in Chicago where I was affordable. So Chicago State, Southside of Chicago, 95th and King Drive. I went there to pursue my second bachelor's in music ed. So, and then didn't use it. So
yeah, then you got it and did not
shout
become
out to
a teacher.
I'm not paying y'all, but it's cool. It's not.
And then you went to university.
And then I went to Vandercook.
Yeah.
For my master's in music ed. And we had a difference of opinion in how things should go in the program. And so we parted ways. Yeah. Cool.
That sounds like a story for another whiskey.
It is. Another whiskey, another gin, another day. What's funny, I don't know if he doesn't care. So Jared Landon and I were in the same master's program at Vandercook and we both dropped out the same semester, which is very funny. And now we're both not needing it.
Well.
But yeah, whatever.
So something happened that semester.
Yeah, it just wasn't, I think it was as Black artists, it just wasn't a good fit, I think.
Got it.
So,
yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
And then, so when did you start to eye theaters and start to think about maybe that's what you want to do?
2010. I was having another crisis about I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I knew I had these music degrees, but I did not want to be a recording artist. But I still wanted to do music, and I did not want to teach So I spent all that money to get a music ed degree and realized I did not want to be in the classroom because I don't really like kids. The grown ones, I don't. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh yeah, there's a musical theater thing, right? That's a thing, right? Okay, yeah. I sing. Cool. How do I do this? So I went on, I don't know, whatever website you go on to see what auditions are being done in Chicago. And I just looked and I was like, well, I don't know what this means or that means. What's an equity? I don't know. And it was this community theater company doing a production of Nonsense. And I went out for that. And they were like, do you tap? And I said, sure. No. And I was Sister Robert Ann in Nonsense. And that was the first time I ever did something. And I was like, oh, okay. That was fun. Okay, I'm gonna do it again. I can do it again. So I went on another audition. And at Theo Ubekwe for Cats. And they were like, do you want to play Grisabella? And I was like, yeah, I'm in my 20s. That's a whole lot of makeup, but sure. So yeah, then that's how it kind of started. Like I just tried it out. I just leaned on what I knew how to do, which at the time was just sing. And they were like, she can do it. And so I did it. And there's really nothing else deeper than that. I just tried it and hope to not fail. So.
And you were working at a bank at the time.
Yeah. I won't say what bank because they have power everywhere and they probably already know that I'm talking about them right now because that's how big they are. But yeah, I worked at a bank to pay my bills and still do theater at night. And I was miserable at the bank for a long time until I quit the bank. To do the stuff that I made fun of kids doing in high school.
So. Have you ever had any like high school friend who was in the college like program the theater program call you up? Be like,
no, because I wasn't friends with any. I wasn't friends with them. Like I didn't even talk to them. Like I was a horrible human. Like I just did not even. It was a completely different side of the building. So like it was like choir was on that side, even though it was the same building. We didn't cross.
Right. You didn't cross the border.
No, we didn't cross the border. And then theater was on that side. And it was just like, I have no reason to go on that other side of the building, which is literally 200 feet away. But I have no reason to go over there. So nobody could call me. But if they want to now, they can. They can Facebook request me. And I'll say sorry. I won't say sorry.
Nah. Theater kids are pretty used to it, I think.
Which I'm learning now.
Well. So after Cats, you did Smokey Joe's Cafe.
Yeah.
Also with Theo Ubekwe.
Yes, that went from there, and it was the first transfer they ever had. So they went from Theo Ubekwe to the Royal George. And so we ran that to the ground for a year and a half. So.
And then after that, you
took a break
for a while.
I think, because I said, oh no.
Yeah.
I didn't like the competition. I didn't like the cattiness. I didn't like, those are two, that's enough. Yeah. You know, like I just didn't like that. I didn't like the energy of it. And so I left. And also, I was like, I'm not making enough money. I don't know what I thought theater was going to be, but that was not. I was like, stipend. What? I'm burning more in gas going back and forth. So I quit to go get another job. And I left.
And then were you still at the bank?
No, that's when the whole where was God. Where was I? Probably doing bartending. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. So you quit for a little while, you bartended, and then Dessa Rose came into your life.
Dessa Rose came into my And
that was at Bailiwick?
That was
the first production with Lillian Brown that you collaborated with her?
Yeah. Dessa Rose came and back to musicals, which was fine because that's all I knew how to do. So did that with Bailiwick, and it was probably everyone in that cast to this day, we are still very close. So that was like my first show that I did where I actually felt like I had that idea of like theater family, like your family. Before then, it was like, I like y'all, but you know, like I don't dislike you, but you know, I'm not gonna hang around with you forever. Like I don't want to talk to you like 3. I mean, I love. It's gonna backfire. Fuck no. I loved everybody I did a production with, but that was the first time it was like, oh, I'm going to cry when this is over, and I did. Tell no one. Now everyone knows. Great.
It's a powerful show.
It really, yeah, it was, and that was the first time I was a lead in anything, even at work. Like you know, like that was the first time I had ever been. Someone entrusted me to like be the like team captain, if you will, and trust me with that work. So that was great.
So can you tell us a little bit about what Dessa Rose is about and how you got the role and what it was like?
I don't know how I got the role, but Dessa Rose was about this young slave girl who was very defiant, but also had a huge heart, and she got pregnant by her boyfriend at the time, and the plantation owner killed him because he was standing up for her. And then she ran off. She just ran off the plantation, and she ran into this plantation mistress who was going through her own thing, and they sort of bonded because her husband left her. So they sort of bonded, created this bond, and their goal was to get further west. And it was about their bond as like women, and then Dessa's own personal struggle with having this baby, growing up as a runaway, always, you know, in fear. And but it was great. It's by the same people who brought us Ragtime and Once on This Island. Aaron's and Flattery. Shout out that they wrote us a letter. Anyway, so yeah, that was great. It was a great experience.
And the woman who played the
my Harmony friends, my Harmony grits. Yeah, she's she was my sister, and we've been forever sisters, which also led to our collaboration as, you know, being a part of Firebrand. So when I go back to saying like, yeah, that was the first time where I was like, that's family, and it actually has been that way. We've sustained that relationship, which is for art and for personal reasons, but we are very similar in that fashion about being passionate about women and women having a voice and all that. So it kind of went from Dessa all the way to now. So that's cool.
And what is Firebrand Theater Company?
Everything. No, it is. It is the first feminist musical theater, equity feminist theater musical.
You got it.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and it's great. And we try to empower women, give them voices, give them roles, do non-traditional casting, so that if it is, you know, traditionally a male playing this part, like why can't a woman, you know? And it's been very successful, and I'm very proud to be a part of anything that is going on over there because they do work. So we do work. I say we. I'm in there. Okay. So yeah.
So after Dessa Rose, if I'm reading this correctly, you took another little break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different reason.
Okay.
I took a break because I was... You get nominated for a Jeff, right? And so you think your world's going to change because everybody says that.
Wow.
Everybody's like, oh, well, Jeff nominated or da-da-da-da. Well, all you just need is this one little accolade, and then, you know, life will just... And life didn't do that. Life was like... And I still had bills to pay. So, and again, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this shit. How long does it take? How long does this take? But there's Jeff, though. There's Jeff nom, though. No. And coming from, like, being a banker and even being a bartender, like, sales, I've heard no at least 40,000, 100 million times in my life. But hearing that no, it was a different type of no, because it, like, spoke to how I was starting to think of myself as, like, oh, I can do this. And since everyone put all this energy and behind that Jeff Award, when I didn't get it, it was like I failed. I was like, oh, well, then maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So that's why I left the second time. First time, money. Second time, esteem.
Okay.
I felt completely defeated. I was like, I don't. And I wasn't booking anything after that. Like, but the Jeff Nom. They told, like, no, this is the pinnacle of Chicago success. No.
So what brought you out?
I was sitting at my cubicle at work making a decent amount of money. And I got an invitation to sing background on Empire. Mm. And I went on set and I was like, Nah, I don't miss this shit. I'm good. I'm straight. I'm good. Went back to work. Got an invitation to read a first draft or second draft of Prowess by Ike Holter. Like, he wanted to read because he saw me in Dessa Rose. He was like, can you just come read? I was like, yeah, I don't really do straight. I know how to read words because I'm gifted. So, so cool.
Did go to the special high
school. The ACT score said I'm smart as hell, so I can read some words. So I went to do that, and it was like, oh, that was cool. Go back to work. Mm. Then the Inconvenience was doing the Citizens Anthology, where it's these 10-minute plays, one written by Ike Holter, another one written by Christiana Ray Colon and some other artists, directed by Kira Fromm and Marty Lyons. Mm-hmm. And they were like, you want to do it? I was like, well, will it interfere with my job? Because my job. And they were like, no, we rehearsed that night. I was like, okay, cool. So I did that. And I was like, oh, shit. It got me again. I was like, oh. So then that happened. I was invited to audition for Prowess for the role that I read for. Mm-hmm. And I booked it. And then I said, you know what? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. Mm. And I quit. And I have not gone back. And I'm not going back. But I miss a check. So that's how it got me back. They tricked me. No, that's what happened. So yeah.
So Prowess was your first collaboration with Ike Holter, fabulous playwright here in town. Mm-hmm. You've worked with quite a few times.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. And Prowess is also part of the cycle that he's got going.
Yeah, the Rightland Saga. Yeah, I forgot where exactly. I think it's like 3, 4 somewhere.
He didn't write them in order, so we're all confused. No, he did not write them in
order. But that's also a cool thing to be a part of, to originate a character. And now that his works are published, like the thought of me having my name like Zora, Sydney Charles, oh shit, hell yeah. Or that people will try to find footage of what I did. But that you know it's true. But yeah, so that's an honor.
Yeah.
And shout out to Ike for even trusting me and thinking that I could do justice to his words. Mm. So.
Prowess was at Jackalope Theatre, and it was your first straight play. What was that transition, that experience of going from musical theater to straight plays?
You know what? Doing musicals first probably helped.
Yeah.
There's a certain discipline that comes because musical theater is so like this step, this step, this step, this, and having that structure translated very well to straight plays, especially in Prowess because there's like fight choreography. Mm-hmm. And I think if I was not dancing, then it would not have, because I've never done that before. But it was just like switching code. Like, you know what I'm saying? It just made it easier. The thing that I had problems wrapping my head around was like, am I saying these words right? Because in musical theater, you don't say words. You sing all your words. Mm. So it's finding that same passion and meaning, but not sing song in it. That's not a verb, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, but everything else, the same passion, the same focus, it helped because you have to be super focused to do musical theater because it's so technical and everybody knows what it's supposed to sound like. Mm-hmm. You know, so I try to take those elements and put them into straight theater, whatever that is.
I wish they had a different word.
I know, right? I hate even saying it. Sounds ridiculous, but yeah.
Sounds very hetero, and it's
I don't like it.
So that summer you started with Fly Honeys. Was your first summer with the Fly Honeys?
Oh, snap. Yeah. Man, I don't sit down for real. Yeah, that was my first summer with Fly Honey. The baby of Aaron Kilmurray and the madness of Mary Williamson writing. Everybody that's involved in that, Lisa and Casey and the whole cast, they are outstanding. And when I got asked to be a part of that, I thought they were drunk. They might have been. Yeah. But that's cool. Because I was completely uncomfortable with my body. Because I've always been a thin woman. Mm-hmm. And in the African American community, to be thin is not highly regarded. You need to be curvy, you know. Mm-hmm. So for me to display my non-curviness on stage was not something I was actually into. But that whole experience empowered me so much to like love myself, love other people, just for being who they are, not what they look like, what they can do for you. And then putting that outward made me go inward and being like, I need to love myself for those same reasons. Not because of what I do or what I don't look like or could look like, but just because I'm me and I'm perfect that way. So yeah. Shout out to the Fly Honey Show, making me feel sexy and shit.
And then after that, you went back to Jackalope for Octagon. Christiana Ray Cologne.
I mean, because Christiana writes, honey. So whenever you are asked to do, and she's a great friend of mine. So whenever you are asked to say her words, which are so lyrical and so poetic, then you have to say her words. And so that was great. And that entire cast that's so much talent. Like Kiki Lane, who's now blowing up. Bloated it up, and if Bill Street could talk, and Eric Gerard and Michael. I mean, that was like a once in a lifetime. Ryan Hallahan, like that was just crazy. Like the amount of talent in that cast was great. So to be around that was awesome.
And then we come to The Wiz in 2017 with Kokandy, for which you won many awards.
Except that raggedy ass Jeff. Shout out to Jeff Ward. That was The Wiz. That's a little girl's. That's a little black girl's dream to be Dorothy. Every little black girl wants to be Dorothy, and the fact that my not so little girl old ass got to be Dorothy was great. Again, another Lillian Brown production. I got to play with some friends one last time and some friends for the first time. Stephen Perkins, who used to act here in Chicago, that was his last show here. And then I met a slew of I met Kerry Corder and Deja Perkins, who are all like taking the musical theater game by storm, and Gilbert. Again, I've been very fortunate to work with some hella talented people, and not just because I like them, just because they are that talented. So being Dorothy was everything, and if that was going to be my last musical to do on in this city, then that was the one to do. Like if I'm going out like this, being Dorothy.
Do you think it will be your last musical?
I hope. I mean, I don't know. I'm saying yes. I say yes. Not because I've grown it. It's just that I've become very particular about the way that Black people are shown in musicals. And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, we aren't shown outside of any way other than us in a shiny dress or downtrodden or just trying to make it, and unless someone writes a new musical that puts us in a light where we actually have joy, because we have joyous stories. We are a happy people. That I don't think I want to do it. Unless it's like pushing history forward or challenging the way that non-Blacks view us or think. Otherwise, I don't want to belt for any non-Black people just so they can feel good about the fact that this Black woman was screaming in their face. I'm good on that. Yeah. So, and for a while, that's how I felt like this is all I'm ever going to be able to do. So that's why I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it for that reason. Sure. Except for The Wiz. But anyway, yeah.
After The Wiz, we had quite the event here in Chicago theater community where we were dealing with a reviewer in town.
Oh, talking about.
Whatever could I be referring? And you and a group of friends started some action to address the racist comments from this reviewer. Want to talk a little bit to us about Chi-Tac and how that started?
It started on a Facebook Messenger chat. It happened. The review came out, and we all were like, "This is wrong. This is just wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong." I don't know if it was just because of the energy with 45 being elected, and everybody was just frustrated and tired. It was like that was just the straw that broke the camel's back type thing, and we were just all like, "What can we do? What can we do? What can we do?" And we were up all to the wee hours of the morning trying to figure out what the strategy was going to be. And then we talked for several days after that. And then about what was the right way to do things. And contrary to popular belief, we were not a mad mob group. We were not trying to get anyone fired. We just wanted restitution. We wanted justice. We wanted acknowledgement of the things that were going on in our city that were not just exclusive to that reviewer, but just the climate of Chicago theater, which I think it did bring awareness. Like some things are changing, like not fast enough for my taste, but that did shine a light on how, as a whole, the Chicago theater community can sometimes come off and have practices that are very discriminatory and racist. And so, if anything, what Chi-Tech did was help shine a light on that shine a light on things that have been ignored or put under the rug for quite some time, and just kind of like nudge everybody. Or I don't know, I think in cartoons, so on Tom and Jerry, when they used to strike the match and put it in his foot and then light it so his foot would catch on fire and he would just scream and pop up. Yeah, I think that's what Chi-Tech did. Chi-Tech is. Yeah. We put the match in the foot and lit it and set some shit on fire. And so I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish with that.
Is Chi-Tech still active, still working?
Yeah, real G's move in silence. So, like lasagna. No. Shout out to Weezy. So, yeah, we're around. You don't always have to make noise to make moves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
After that, you went on to work with Definition Theater on Octoroon.
Yeah, that was fun. That was my first time working with the Chuck Smith. He's brilliant. So that's all I have to say about that. That was also the beginning of like 2 Show Sydney.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere in there. Because I'm insane. But yeah. I was doing that and Fly Honey, my second year of Fly Honey at the same time.
Right. And you've done 3 years of Fly Honey now. Yes. And then you moved on to do Lottery Day, the workshop production.
The new stages at Goodman. So,
with Ike Holter, it's your second show.
Yeah. Out of, like, in this Holterverse, so the fact that he even brought Zora back was, for this particular production, I felt very touched.
Zora's your character from Prowess?
From Prowess, yeah. She was the, I don't have an adjective for her off the tip of my tongue, but yeah, she, it's good to see her. She just didn't take, Zora's not with the shits. That's all. Which is a lot like Sydney, so it was easy to find her. But yeah.
And then you moved on to do Swell on the Ground at the Gift.
Yes.
What was that show about?
Life. Honestly, it was about a couple and how they dealt with the different events that life brings you as you're growing up. Like they met in college and they, like over a 10-year span, it was like falling in and out of love and not wanting to give up on love and a lot of death, a lot of like Chekhovian aspects in there. And it was deep. Directed by Chica Ike. And it was, that was a lot of emotional work because I had to cry every night. And I'd never done that before. Had to have done that before in a show. So that tapped into a different part of my acting skill set that I still don't know what it is all the way. So it stretched me. There we go, stretch. That's that word y'all use. It stretched me. So, yeah. I was stretched.
After Swell on the Ground, you had your first collaboration with Wardell Clark, which was Insurrection.
Is that right?
Is that right, Wardell?
Okay, great. He's here. I'm surprised.
He's in the audience.
Yeah, that was the first show with Wardell Julius Clark. He he told me he had this role that he think I could do. He wanted me to come in for an audition, and I said okay. And I read it and I said, this bitch is crazy. Bitch in the great sense. And it was probably, I mean, what Black woman doesn't want to play a white plantation mistress? I did. I got to tap into every old sitcom, every Carol Burnett, every SNL, every In Living Color sketch I ever wanted to do in that role. And it was one of the most fun things I've been able to do since I've been doing this stretching thing. So, yeah.
You and Wardell are very close.
No.
Wardell, is that right?
Yeah, it's been a very fast and intense friendship with Wardell. I didn't know him from Adam before a reading at Goodman. And since then, he's become my work husband. Like, we want to take over and just fuck shit up. Can I say fuck shit? Too late.
Too late. It happened.
Catch it in post. But yeah, so we just have very similar ideas about art and what art should be, how artists should conduct themselves, groom themselves to be better, even though we're both still learning. But, you know, we want to bring people along with us on that journey. And we're both very passionate about that. Is that accurate? Cool, great. So yeah.
So then you and Wardell then moved on to work together again at Guess Who's Coming to Dinner at Court Theater.
Yeah, I tried to get away.
And it didn't work.
And I did, and I wasn't successful. Yeah, he was the associate director on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, which I also will say shout out to him and Marty for fighting for me to play that role, because traditionally that role is played by an older woman. But their concept to make Tilly and Dr. Prentice contemporaries was genius, and it worked. And I got another Raggedy Ass Jeff Award nomination for that, so I guess they did good. I didn't win it or no shit like that, but whatever.
So that's your fourth, your fifth Jeff nom?
I mean, after you lose 2, you just stop counting.
You just stop counting.
You just don't count anymore. But yeah.
What are your feelings on the Jeff Awards and
Emma,
award ceremonies in general? You told me I could ask you anything.
Sheesh, come on.
Let me rephrase
No,
this.
okay. you can leave it. You can leave it where it's at.
I'm gonna leave it.
Listen, I think the premise of having an award system in Chicago that recognizes artists and their talent is outstanding. What I don't like is the fact that it doesn't come with any money, seeing as everyone in Chicago that is an artist is struggling. So there's some sort of like monetary award or grant or something. I don't like the fact that every year all the winners look alike and they don't look like me. So then we don't look alike. You know what I'm saying? And that is also very male dominated and populated, and that the committee looks like someone that if I walked into a hotel lobby and saw that committee in the hotel lobby at the bar, I would leave. Yeah. Because I wouldn't feel comfortable. So why would I feel comfortable performing in front of these people who look like people I would not normally be around? That disturbs me. And it's a lot of added pressure when you look out into that audience and you see that. And you see those signs on those seats and you know they're there judging you and looking at you. And as an artist of color, you know they're not rooting for you. And I would love to believe that they were rooting for you, but history has shown that they're not, because we have not won anything unless we're in a shiny dress and singing real loud. So, or unless we're being oppressed.
Do you think the idea of an award ceremony in general, if we could find a way to like salt the earth and create a new one?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of like the People Choice Awards and the SAG Awards. So people, your colleagues, they vote for you. They like, I like what my homie did, or I like what that person. I respect their craft. That's why I like the Time Out Awards, or like Hawk Chicago, or the community votes for who they believe is worthy. I hate that, but whose art needs to, like, here's your pat on the back. I saw what you did. That was awesome. Yeah. You know. So if the Jeff ceremony was more like that, and where you didn't have to pay for a ticket, set $85. If you don't have $85 for your light bill. How are you going to pay $85 to go see an award show where you're not going to win? Yeah. So, no.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
All right. Well, moving there along.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? You started working in film pretty recently. You did Shameless in 2017, and then you were in The Tea earlier this year.
Yeah, that talking about being stretched, that's a completely different wheelhouse for me. Especially coming from musical theater where everything is so big. Even in the tiniest spaces, it's so big. And then to come to film and you have to, it's very everything is very deliberate. Even how you move your eyebrow or your hands. And I'm learning that medium and trying to master that as well. But also I never want to lose the passion that you get from doing theater. So, and I'm learning that in this business, that's hard to do. But I like a challenge, so we'll see.
You had your directorial debut this year with The Shipment.
Yeah.
Again, with our friend Wardell.
I don't know who you are talking about. Yeah, actually, I directed a Deathscribe piece last year first. And then by myself, scared shitless. And then Wardell graciously brought me along because he thought I could add to The Shipment. And that was a different level in our friendship, so that he could trust me with that, with throwing ideas around because he's a very opinionated person. I don't know if y'all know. He's very opinionated. So to be able to be heard and respected as a woman and a Black woman in that position was great. And it gave me a lot of confidence in my thoughts and visions and how things should be as a director. And that I could maybe possibly do that too. So, we didn't get a Jeff recommendation though. I don't know what happened.
Well, it was a wildly, it was a wildly successful show. Otherwise, very well reviewed.
It was in the Times, the New York Times, or whatever.
Well,
so, I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of New York, you were there earlier this year doing Pearly Victorious.
Yeah, I was.
With Anna Shapiro and some other very exciting folks.
Yeah, that was fun.
What was that?
Man. They were doing a Broadway workshop, just saying, saying if it would maybe kind of work or whatever. That's what those things are for, right? Auditioned for that. Beat out a whole bunch of, I'm sure, hella talented people for that role. And directed by Anna Shapiro, and Chris Rock was in the room, and Craig Robinson was in the room, and Bo Bridges was in the room, and I try not to pee on myself. and that was it. Can
you tell us what it was about?
Yeah, Pearly Victorious is a play written by Ossie Davis back in 1958. I don't know if that year's accurate. I'm just going to say that it is. And it was actually done on Broadway for quite some time. And then it was made into a film by a different name. It wasn't called Gone Are the Days, is what it was called on film. And his wife, Ruby Dee, originated the role that I was able to read for at the workshop. And that was a great fun room and everybody was hilarious. And I just tried to be cool and not say anything stupid. And I was successful. And that was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. No, I don't want it to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I want it to happen again and again and again. So it was the first of many experiences. Nice. And it was great. I was doing it at the same time as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So I literally, when I had to audition, I flew to New York, taped, came back, did 2 shows for Guess Who's Coming, did a matinee and a night show. And then the next week flew out to do the workshop because I'm crazy. Wow. So yeah, but it was great.
And then you're working with Wardell again on Flyin West,
which
just closed.
Come on, bro. Go away. Yeah, Flyin West. I got to work with him as an actor. We've never acted together. We've never done any shows where we were on the same playing field, level, ground, words.
One of those metaphors.
They all work. So that was fun. He got to play the villain, and I just got to watch him be evil, which everyone was like, "Oh, is that such a stretch?" I'm like, "No, y'all don't know. It's not a stretch." I'm just kidding. No, but it was great to see him be able to do both well. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of us are trying to do one thing well, so it's not fair that he gets to do both things well. And then again with Chuck Smith, he directed. That was my second production with him, which was an honor because he is royalty. He's director, theater, film, Emmy, royalty. So for him to think that I have enough talent to be in the room with him twice, I could stop today and be cool. You know, I wouldn't have to act again. But I'm not leaving. So, so yeah.
I skipped right over Father Comes Home from the Wars at the Goodman Theatre earlier this year.
Baby's first real Goodman show. With the cast of thousands. So it was a million people in that show. Working with Nigel Smith. He's brilliant. It was like a mix of all actors, Chicago, New York, some vets, and then some rookies. I'm still a rookie in my head. Now that story was different because it was great to tell that narrative around slavery, but it wasn't the downtrodden. Like we never get those stories where we actually have lives outside of being a slave, and that cycle written by Susan Laurie Parks showed that we were whole people, like actual humans with things outside of life working in the field. Like we have a whole other life outside of that. And that whole cycle told that story. And it was an honor to be a part of anything that Susan Laurie Parks writes, because Pulitzer Prize winning. Susan Laurie Parks. So yeah, that's great.
This week you just finished up a very secretive project, again with our buddy Wardell. Called
2019 got to be some new shit. Because
what can you tell us about Make Believe?
The Make Believe Association, headed up by Jeremy McCarter, decided to do some audio dramas based around folk tales and fables from different walks of life. So covering all races and ethnicities. And I was able to be a part of one of them. Can't say what it's about, can't say who adapted it, but I was able to be a part of one of them, and I'm very excited because it's the first time I was able to do voice work, and that's all I really want to do in life. Not all, but I would like all my checks to come from doing voice work. And so it's going to drop in January. And so just stay tuned. Go like their Facebook page so you can keep track of it. And it's great. It's going to be, it's better than great. Like it's outstanding. Yeah. It's really good.
Why do you do theater? Why do you choose to continue to do theater?
I don't know, girl. I love it though. I love the adrenaline of it. I love the energy that you automatically feel back from the audience. I love meeting new people and developing relationships and seeing how everyone else works. Because sometimes it inspires me, and then sometimes it shows me what I don't want to be. And I think the more I do that, and in more theater spaces, I get to see different actors and how they move and function. And film moves so fast that you don't always get to see that. But theater, like you're with them for like weeks and weeks, and, and so you're learning who they are. And I love that about theater. You don't get that any other place, I don't think. It's magical.
You're a very outspoken advocate on social media and in any given rehearsal room.
True.
In particular for representation, for people of color, for Black folks in particular. Tell me about what that means to you and how you hope to. What is the positive future of that look like?
Coming from musical theater where everyone in the room does not look like me. If anything, it was like you had a Black choreographer because we can dance. So you had a Black choreographer or you had a Black costume designer, and that was it. And then I came over to the straight play side, and it was a little bit better. You had more women in the room, but it was still more white women in the room. And so going forward, because of things like SHOTAC and A Not in Our House and the Chicago Theater Inclusion, like all of these movements and groups that are coming together to shine light on how things aren't fair and people aren't included. I'm hoping that one, as an actor, even as an actor or director or whatever, that I make sure that the rooms I'm in, that there are people in the room that look like me. It's very uncomfortable to do your best work in a room where you don't feel supported, where you're nervous, where you feel like you can't say anything because you might say the wrong thing, because you might not work there again, because there's no one to have your back, because no one looks like you, or no one has a shared experience. Even if they're not Black, just any person of color whatsoever, so that we can be the minority in the room that can stand together as the majority against the majority. So going forward, if somebody is stupid enough to let me direct something, I'm going to make sure that I have women as stage managers, as sound designers, as lighting designers, Black people, not just designing our clothes, not just doing movement work. Like we can do anything we want. We can do it all. We can do it well, and I want to showcase that.
We'll be taking donations later for a charity, and it's a charity of your choice. And you've chosen an association called the Miscarriage Association.
Yeah.
Why should we be donating to them? What do they do?
Because I said so. And it's coming out now. In like the last 2 years, more and more women have been talking about the fact that they have fertility issues, that they've miscarried, which is great. But I think there needs to be a more awareness brought to it, because there is fear surrounding talking about it, because a lot of women feel like they're less of a woman because they can't have children, don't want to have children, have angel babies, and they have no one to talk to. Like, you don't want to talk to your family. You don't even want to talk to your best friend about it most of the time. So I'm taking donations for that on behalf of this fine program, because I have 3 angel babies. And maybe 3 years ago, I couldn't have said that like that with such pride. But it's because of associations like the Miscarriage Association that I'm able to do that now and not like break down into crying, which is still okay to do. And I do every now and then. But just so that women have the resources to be able to feel like they can go and get what they need in order to move past that is very important to me. So give us your money. I don't work for them. Just give us your money.
We have some time for a few audience questions. If anybody has anything they want to ask.
That's right. Don't ask nothing.
Marcus, you got something? I saw you raise your hand.
I think I got a question. What would be some projects or just some type of work or just certain stories you would want to tell coming up in 2019?
So the question is, what projects are you looking forward to doing in 2019? Or do you want to do in 2019? The camera didn't, so.
Oh, man. Okay, fair. I'm already slated to do Nina Simone at Northlight. And she's an activist and an artist, so I'm very honored to play her because I feel very connected to her in that aspect. And then Lottery Day is having their full, can I say that? We know. It's having their full production at Goodman, and then I'll be doing that. But on the director's side, there are certain works that Chicago stays away from by certain playwrights. I would love to do some Katori Hall. I would love to do a Susan Laurie that has not been done yet or isn't currently being done. No shade. It's just that sometimes Chicago, what we do is one theater company does and then everybody else does it. And it's like, why do I need to see 5 productions of Frankenstein? But, whatever, it sells. Unless you're going to do something new with it, like Manual Cinema did at Court. So just giving voices to more Black playwrights, more playwrights of color. And yeah, just doing different, crazy, weird stuff. Maybe some musicals. There's a musical on Spotify. I forgot the name of it, but I would love to bring that here. It's surrounded around Black women, and we're just being silly and goofy and funny. And I need, like I said, I need to see that joy. I want to see joy on stage. Yeah. I always want to see us crying.
Yeah. So. Any other audience questions?
No. I mean, whatever.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our last section. This is a quick answer questionnaire that's stolen from.
Oh man. Okay.
It's stolen from first Proust and then Pivot and then James Lipton and now it's me.
Let's do it. Emma. Let's do it.
So here we go. There are kind of a lot of them. So let's see what we can do.
Let's do it. Okay.
What is your favorite word?
Onomatopoeia.
What is your least favorite word?
Ointment.
What turns you on?
Oh, well. A good smile. A nice smile.
What turns you off?
Stupid.
What do you most value in people?
Honesty.
What is your astrological sign?
Scorpio.
What's your Hogwarts house?
Slytherin. Yes. Surprise, surprise.
Do you have a go-to late night food place?
Oh, I was just going to say food. Yes. Puebla restaurant in Milwaukee.
If you could give your 18-year-old self a one phrase or one sentence bit of advice, what would it be?
Do it anyway.
What's the best song to kick off a party?
Lucky if you but cry, Miles.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel. Team Marvel. All day.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
What is your favorite curse word?
Motherfucker.
Who is your real life hero?
Oh, my mom.
What significant historical event that happened in your lifetime resonates most with you?
9/11.
And what about a significant historical event that was good?
Obama winning. Twice.
What childhood toy did you covet or wish you had?
All things Barbie.
What's a quote that you think about a lot?
Do or do not, there is no try.
Do you have a baked good or a sweet that you hate?
German chocolate cake.
If you could choose your afterlife, what would it look like?
This.
Do you have a personal motto?
Do it afraid.
And lastly, what gives you hope?
Oh, man. Having children. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, folks. Sydney Charles.
Thanks, Boo. Yeah.
Thanks, baby.